Hey guys, what's up? It's Reverie here. I decided to make these album reviews, especially the content that I produce on this channel, in a more live action format. Hopefully this doesn't upset anyone that I'm not using the OC anymore, but in terms of my schedule and my final schedule, especially for college and the things that I'm doing right now, I really don't have enough time to produce that kind of editing quality. And so going to a live action format is the best thing, especially for me making content on this channel. So I hope you enjoy my first review, and I'll see you on the other side. Reinvent by PrinceWhateverer is possibly this fandom's best metal album to date. And I'm not saying that lightly. For transparency purposes, I have worked with PrinceWhateverer in the past. He and I do talk, not fairly regularly, but it does happen occasionally. I've talked to him about this review, told him that there's no bias of personal relationships, and I hope that nothing is really implied by that. We're friends, but I am a critical person, especially of music. Music is one of my biggest passions, and I want you specifically to know that there's no bias like that in this review. This is all me talking from the heart about my experiences with this album. Now, Reinvent by PrinceWhateverer, I have the physical copy here that you can see. It is a beast of an album. 16 tracks, plenty of features, a few bonus content tracks, especially 2 remixes, one from Micro Thunder, one from Aviators, and an acoustic version of Not Letting Go featuring CADIE, Pony1 Kenobi, and COOKIESOUPMUSIC, otherwise known as DB before he rebranded, and another version of one of the tracks on this album called Fight This War featuring Divinium X, another fantastic metal producer in this fandom. Track by track, this album does stack up extremely well, opening off with So Long featuring WUBCAKE, which is an explosive opener, one of the fantastic choice to open with this album. I really do think that having an explosive opening like that with a fantastic chorus, fantastic hook, it really does get the listener ready for what's about to come, and it really does feel like a lot of the genre represented in this album are represented in this track. You've got the brutal vocals from NRGPONY, you've got the soaring choruses from PrinceWhateverer and WUBCAKE, you've got the groovy riffs that happen later on in the album, the melodic overtones. It all really works together in terms of an opening track for this album. Of course, this song is about Moondancer and her relationship with Twilight, her friendship with Twilight, and it really does go in terms of lyric content, how obviously that is portrayed in this song. Of course, just like any PrinceWhateverer song, especially a lot of the songs that I'm going to talk about on this album, it does have that PrinceWhateverer production quality. It has that classic Prince snare that everyone knows. It has his vocals. Not too many vocals, growls from Prince on this track. Most of those are taken care of by NRGPONY. But I really do think that this is a fantastic way to open the album. Of course, lyrically, this song isn't very strong. There are a couple lines that do feel like reaching. There are a few awkward kind of lines, especially the ending lyric. One of the ending lyrics, "Will things go back to the time before you left, to a place where I can say all the things I meant." It feels a little awkward, especially with the delivery and how the chorus had been structured beforehand, but that's nitpicky. It's a fantastic opening track, and it really sets the score for things to come in this album. Abandoning the track-by-track mentality, there are a few highlights in terms of heaviness and a few highlights in terms of melodic content on this album that I do want to touch on. Of course, the second track, Left Behind, about Applejack. This is an incredibly heavy track, especially the breakdown after the first chorus. In terms of content, like the chorus themselves, how soaring they are. Of course, a couple lyrical reaches, especially "These apple trees you planted, I've grown so disenchanted." It seems a little bit corny, but of course it's Prince. He does things like that to get the story across, so a lot of the time this album, things like that, weak rhymes like that, are fairly excusable in terms of getting the story of the characters across, and that's what really matters. Of course, 2 other fantastically heavy tracks, of course, Away From Me featuring NRGPONY, and The Fight Inside, also featuring NRGPONY. Both of these are fantastically heavy tracks, The Fight Inside, of course, being a classic Prince track, one that he did a few years back with a much weaker production value, of course, because he has grown a lot since his Breaking Bonds days, other things like that, those hit singles way back when. They're fantastic tracks. The final breakdown in both of these songs are mind-blowing, especially in terms of fandom metalcore. The last breakdown of the basic portion of the album, I want to say, is The Fight Inside. And the last breakdown is incredible, what he's done with it, how he's changed Luna's How About Now, especially right at the ending, that breakdown vocal. It's incredibly heavy, the drum fill and everything, the sub bass, it feels so meaty, and that's the kind of production that really shines on this album, that meaty, bassy, metalcore sound. And that's where this album also falls short on certain things, because Prince really has that metalcore sound down. He's got those vocals, he's got those screams, he's got that down-pick, stuttery, genty guitar playing. He has all those things, and yet the weakest tracks, in my opinion, the ones that I don't really go back to, are the ones that are more pop-punk, more alt-rock. Things like A Place That We Call Home, Forget About It, A Place That We Call Home featuring COOKIESOUPMUSIC, and Forget About It featuring CGSCRAMBLES. Both of them are fantastic people, and these songs are fantastic, but in terms of the album itself, I don't really feel like, personally, they fit in terms of the flow of the album. The track listing is something that I mentioned earlier. I do think there are a few things that could have been tweaked in the track listing to make the album flow a little bit better. Of course, the rework of Between Fairy Tales and Happy Endings featuring Caspa and Senra is amazing. This acoustic ballad that turns electric and hard-hitting at the end about Derpy. Of course, this is a classic Prince song. The lyrics are amazing, which is why it's so classic. The guitar playing is amazing. All of the artists involved in this track really did a number in making this track huge, making it meaty, making it feel like a metalcore song, even though it is especially acoustic alt-rock. It feels like it fits with the album, which can't really be said for Forget About It, A Place That We Call Home. These are fantastic songs, I'm not denying them that, but it does feel a little bit on the nose in terms of lyrical quality, the pop-punk alt-rock influence. It really does fall a little bit flat, especially for me listening through the album. Of course, Frailty featuring Milky Momo is making its way on this album again, a rework of the original song that was posted a year or two back. Absolutely fantastic vocal performance from Milky Momo, from Prince. The guitar playing, the flow, it's all amazing. The Twilight chorus, of course, beautiful. Another real highlight of this album. Speaking of highlights, of course, there's Not Letting Go, featuring CADIE, Pony1 Kenobi, and COOKIESOUPMUSIC again at the very end. In that more like bonus section, it's an acoustic version, and it is fantastic. CADIE, of course, I was really excited when I heard she was going to be on this album. She's an incredibly talented vocal performer, especially with other artists such as Sights Unseen, Violet Pony, and when I saw that she was on the track listing, I immediately got excited for this track. It does feel a little bit in the more, B-sides, bonus content of this album, which I don't really understand. Having the two remixes on this album, I completely understand, but these reworks, especially version 2 of Fight This War and this acoustic remake of Not Letting Go, they do feel like they fit, but they don't feel very well incorporated with the rest of the album. And maybe that's the point. Maybe that's what I'm missing. The album feels like it ends after the fight inside, and a lot of B-sides or bonus content start popping up, which is completely fine. They're all fantastic tracks, especially the rework of Fight This War, featuring Divinium X, of course, another amazingly talented metal, more deathcore, but metal producer in this fandom. But that's for a different review. This album really does do a lot, especially in terms of reworking the original singles that were posted from this before the album was even announced, especially Your Own Sky, which I originally made the video for back in 2015, summer of 2015. It was a long time ago, but the things that Prince has done musically and sonically with this track to make it fit with the rest of the album are fantastic. The guitar production rework is insane. And I do think that it's a big step up from the original single, which is the trajectory that Prince has always been going the past few years. Which I really think this album shows how far he's come in terms of production, in terms of songwriting. He's really stepped up his game from the things that he was doing 2 or 3 years ago, and that's what really shows on this album. All in all, this album is an incredible collection of songs. It's beautiful when it needs to be, it's haunting when it needs to be, it's heavy when it needs to be. Of course, production-wise, it does feel a little bit forced in places, especially with Walk in Shadows. Walk in Shadows is one of my favorite cuts from this album, but the vocal layering, especially on the verse, with the double vocals with 2 different lyrics going on at the same time, it's good, but I think that either through the mix or through the master, it falls a little bit, and it doesn't really have the impact that I would like for it. Granted, it's a beautiful part, I love it, but it does feel a little bit low-key and less in your face than the album is. And maybe that's the point, but it does feel a little bit lackluster in terms of lyrical content and of how it feels on the ears. Lyrical content in general is kind of a theme of this album. Of course, NRGPONY, his fantastic screams, especially on Taking Flight, especially on Away From Me. These are 2 incredibly heavy tracks, but again, in a lot of the places on this album, not on Away From Me, pretty much all the lyrics are fantastic, in my opinion. But on Taking Flight, especially with Prince's rapid fire delivery, a lot of the time, the lyrics do feel a little bit forced in a lot of places where it doesn't feel like it needs to be forced. Of course, the story comes first and the lyrics come second. But in terms of Taking Flight, I would argue that the lyrics really had to come first, because with that rapid fire delivery, you really need to have a strong sense of where you're going and have a strong sense of how it's going to feel afterwards. And there are a few kind of awkward rhymes in this song. There are a few awkward rhymes on the album. And while I'm not a sucker for lyrics, I do appreciate really well constructed, really well conceived lyrics, especially in terms of songs on this album like Between Fairy Tales and Happy Endings, Away From Me. The Fight Inside even has some visceral, in-your-face lyrics, which really do combine with the production quality and the feeling that the music gives, which I think really matters. Of course, that doesn't make the album fall on its face, of course. Lyrical content really does, for a lot of people, fall by the wayside, especially in terms of if it is, in your face, fast-paced music. And that's not a bad thing by any means. It's just something that I kind of point out, especially when I'm listening to albums. People like Tarby in this fandom have always had incredibly good lyrics, good lyric visceral quality, especially on Tarby's album Everfree, which I should do a review for in a more classic style next time or a different time. But I do imagine that a lot of people who have been following the music scene in this fandom have heard of Tarby and have heard his lyrics and understand where he's coming from in terms of giving that production to his songs, especially on tracks like A Turn for the Worst, which I really do feel that same lyrical quality in a lot of the songs on this album, like the first part of So Long, a lot of, especially the choruses on Away From Me, on the chorus and the song as a whole on The Fight Inside. Even Fight This War has some incredibly constructed lyrics, especially around the chorus and the verses. The Watch How the Smoke Clears, that whole entire part is amazing, that you've done this to yourself. And it's fantastically delivered, it's fantastically written and performed, and it really does matter. So with all that aside, production-wise, it's incredible. Prince has never been better than the production on this album. Songwriting, he's never been better. Even with the tracks that do feel a little bit forced, a little bit out of place, the songwriting is amazing. It truly is like a new year and a new Prince that we're seeing, because it feels like the old one, but you know how much it's progressed, especially with this milestone of an album that has appeared over this year. So like I said, there are some drawbacks. There are a lot of positives though, so I have to give this album 7.5 to an 8. It's fantastic. AJ's done a fantastic job, and I really do think that it's an album, especially metalcore fans, but even just rock fans in this fandom should really listen to and really appreciate in terms of where the music style in this fandom is going. So all in all, it's a good album. It's a very good album. And I do think that this is Prince's year. This is the year going to come out swinging. It's going to come out with a lot more stuff, and I cannot await his new releases more than I do. He's a good person. He's a fantastic, funny person to be around, and his music really reflects his passion for the craft. And it's worth a listen, and it's worth the appreciation. So thank you so much for listening. Leave your own opinions on this album or on this commentary in the comment section below. I want to hear what you think. What's your favorite track from the album? Who's your favorite collaborator, etc. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Reverie, of course, and I will see you on the next review, which will be very soon, I hope. Goodbye.